Captain Vexter stood on the bridge of the Golden Wind, watching the stars drift past through the large viewing screen. Her crystal-like skin caught the light from the ship's controls, making tiny rainbows dance across her face. She had been traveling through space for over 30 years, visiting new worlds and meeting strange alien species. But today felt different. Today, she was going to meet humans for the first time. The Golden Wind was not alone in space. 11 other ships traveled with her, each one carrying representatives from different alien species. There were the tall, bird-like Zephyrians like herself. The four-armed Drakmori warriors floated in their water-filled ships. The insect-like hive-mind creatures buzzed quietly in their metal pods. Even the mysterious energy beings from the Ethereal Collective had sent a representative in their glowing crystal containers. All of them were excited about this historic moment. For 50 years, they had been watching Earth from far away. They listened to human radio signals and watched their primitive rockets struggle to reach their own moon. The humans seemed like typical young species, warlike, noisy, and not very advanced. Perfect candidates for joining the Galactic Trade Network as farmers or miners. Captain called out Science Officer Corthani from her station. "We are approaching the meeting coordinates. The human ship should be here soon." Vexstar nodded. She had studied everything they knew about humans. They had only recently figured out how to split atoms. Their biggest wars were fought with chemical explosives. They lived on just one planet and had barely started exploring their own solar system. This should be an easy first contact. "Remember," she announced to her crew, "these humans are very young as a species. We must be patient with them. They probably don't even understand that other intelligent life exists in the universe." Meanwhile, in another part of space, Commander Jake Morrison sat in the captain's chair of the UCS Defiance. The human ship was much smaller than the Golden Wind, with thick metal walls and simple controls. Jake had been chosen for this mission because he was calm under pressure and good at talking to difficult people. He would need both skills today. "Sir," said Lieutenant Amy Brooks from the communications station, "I'm picking up multiple signals ahead. Looks like our visitors brought friends." Jake frowned. The message from the aliens had said they were sending one ship for peaceful talks. Multiple ships could mean trouble, but it could also mean they wanted to make a good impression. "How many ships are we talking about, Amy?" 12, sir. All different sizes and designs. Some of them are really big." Jake felt his stomach tighten. 12 ships against one did not sound like peaceful talks, but orders were orders. Earth's leaders wanted to make contact with these aliens, and Jake would do his job. "All right, people," he said to his crew. "Remember what we practiced. Stay calm, follow protocol, and let's hope these visitors are as friendly as they claim to be." The two groups of ships slowly approached each other in the empty space between Earth and the alien territories. Both sides were nervous, but for different reasons. On the Golden Wind, Captain Vexstar watched a human ship appear on her screens. It looked exactly like what she expected from a primitive species. The design was blocky and simple. The metal looked rough and unfinished. The engines left trails of glowing particles behind them, which seemed wasteful and crude. "Typical young species engineering," she said to Corthany. "All function, no elegance." But Corthany was staring at her sensor readings with confusion. "Captain, these energy readings don't make sense." "What do you mean?" "The human ship is showing power levels that are impossible. Either our sensors are broken, or that little ship is generating more energy than our entire fleet combined." Vexstar looked at the readings herself. The numbers were clearly wrong. A primitive species could not possibly have energy sources that powerful. "Run a full diagnostic on all sensors," she ordered. "There must be an error." On the human ship, Jake was having his own problems with sensor readings. Commander called out Dr. Lisa Chang from the science station. "You need to see this. The alien ships are showing energy signatures unlike anything in our database." "What kind of energy signatures?" "The kind that could turn our ship into dust in about 3 seconds, Lisa said quietly. "Sir, if these are weapons readings, we're in serious trouble." Jake studied the data. The alien ships were definitely more advanced than anything humans had built. Their hulls seemed to be made of materials that barely showed up on sensors. Their engines produced no waste heat at all. and the energy readings suggested power sources beyond human understanding. "Maintain course," Jake ordered, "but keep our defensive systems ready." The moment Jake gave that order, everything went wrong. The alien computers monitoring human communications picked up the phrase "defensive systems ready" and immediately translated it as "weapons armed for attack." Across the alien fleet, warning, alarms began to sound. "They're powering weapons," shouted the Drakmori captain over the communication channel. "I knew it was a trap," responded another alien voice. Captain Vexter felt panic rising in her chest. The humans were supposed to be primitive and peaceful, but the energy readings from their ship suggested weapons more powerful than anything the galactic community had ever seen, and now they were threatening to use them. "All ships, prepare for emergency retreat," she ordered. "This is not what we expected." On the human ship, Jake saw the alien vessel suddenly change formation and start moving away from him. "What did we do wrong?" he asked his crew. "I don't know, sir," Amy replied. "I sent them my standard greeting message, but they're not responding." "Maybe they're afraid of us," suggested Dr. Chang. Jake almost laughed. "Afraid of us? Look at those ships, Lisa. They're like spaceships from a science fiction movie. We're flying around in what's basically a metal can with rockets attached." But the aliens were definitely afraid. As the Golden Wind began to retreat, Science Officer Corthany made a discovery that would change everything. "Captain," she said, her voice shaking, "I've been analyzing the whole composition of the human ship. The materials they're using, they don't exist naturally anywhere in the galaxy." "What do you mean?" "The metal contains isotopes that should be impossible to create. The quantum signature suggests they've learned to manipulate matter at the atomic level." "Captain, only the most advanced civilizations in galactic history have ever achieved that kind of technology." Vextar stared at the human ship as it grew smaller on her screen. "Are you saying the humans are more advanced than us?" "I'm saying the humans are using technology that we thought was purely theoretical. Either they're thousands of years ahead of where we thought they were, or," Corthany paused, checking her readings again, "or they've somehow found artifacts left behind by the ancients." The mention of the ancients sent chills through everyone on the bridge. Every species in the galaxy knew the stories of the race that had disappeared millions of years ago, leaving behind only mysterious artifacts of incredible power. Most scientists believed the ancients had destroyed themselves by playing with forces they couldn't control. "Send an immediate message to the Galactic Council," Vextar ordered. "Tell them we may have a situation that requires their immediate attention." As the alien fleet retreated to a safe distance, Jake Morrison sat on his ship wondering what had gone wrong. He had wanted to make a good first impression on behalf of the human race. Instead, he seemed to have started an interstellar incident. "Should we follow them, sir?" asked Lieutenant Brooks. Jake shook his head. "No, let them go, but keep monitoring their communications. I want to know what we did that scared them so badly." Neither side understood what had really happened. The aliens thought they had discovered a dangerous new species with impossible technology. The humans thought they had somehow offended potential friends with superior weapons. Both groups were wrong, but it would be weeks before anyone figured that out. 3 weeks after the failed first contact, the great space station Haven Prime buzzed with activity. The massive structure floated in neutral space, its metal rings spinning slowly to create artificial gravity. Inside the main council chamber, representatives from 47 different alien species gathered for an emergency meeting. The chamber was a sight to behold. Tall, feathered beings from the outer rim worlds perched on special platforms. Water-breathing species floated in transparent tanks filled with their home liquids. Energy beings flickered inside crystal containers, their thoughts transmitted through special machines. The air filled with clicks, whistles, electronic beeps, and telepathic humming as dozens of different languages tried to communicate at once. Admiral Zethos of the Drakmori species stood at the center podium. His 4 muscular arms gestured wildly as he spoke through his translation device. His gray skin showed the scars of many battles, and his red eyes glowed with anger. "Fellow council members," his translated voice boomed through the chamber, "we face a threat unlike anything we have seen before. The humans are not what they appear to be. They have been lying to us for decades. Murmurs of concern rippled through the assembled aliens. Many species shifted nervously in their seats or tanks. Dr. Yolandra, a bird-like Zephyrian scientist, stood up to respond. Her feathers were bright blue with silver tips, marking her as one of the most respected researchers in the galaxy. Admiral Ziktos, with respect, your conclusion seems premature. We have been monitoring human communications for 50 years. Their technology readings have been consistent with a young, developing species. Then explain this, Ziktos growled. He activated a holographic display that showed the sensor readings from the Golden Wind's encounter with the human ship. The energy signatures pulsed with impossible colors and patterns. These readings show power levels that exceed our best battleships. Their hull materials contain elements that should not exist. Either they have been hiding their true capabilities, or they have found technology from the ancients. The mention of the ancients caused a stir throughout the chamber. Several species made religious gestures or protective signs. The ancients were the stuff of legends and nightmares. They had supposedly possessed technology so advanced that it seemed like magic, but they had vanished mysteriously millions of years ago. Most scientists believed they had destroyed themselves with their own creations. A representative from the ethereal collective, speaking through crackling energy patterns, added their thoughts. If the humans have ancient technology, they represent a danger to all life in the galaxy. The ancients' weapons were capable of destroying entire star systems. Captain Vexstar, who had been quietly listening from her seat, finally stood up. Council members, I was there during the encounter. I observed a human ship directly. While the sensor readings are indeed unusual, the humans themselves seemed genuinely confused by our retreat. Their communications suggested they were as surprised as we were. Of course they would act confused, Ziktos replied angrily. It was obviously a test to see how we would react. They wanted to judge our military capabilities before revealing their true strength. The debate continued. For hours, some species argued for immediate military action against Earth. Others wanted to send spies to gather more information. A few suggested trying to communicate again, but they were quickly shouted down by the more aggressive members. Meanwhile, on Earth, Colonel Lisa Grant stood in the war room beneath Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado. The underground facility hummed with activity as military personnel monitored screens showing satellite feeds from around the planet and beyond. Lisa had been put in charge of Earth's response to the alien situation, and she was not happy with what she was seeing. Lieutenant Ben Hayes, she called to her aide, a young man with short brown hair and serious eyes. Show me the latest deep space observations. Ben activated a large wall screen that displayed a map of the solar system. Small red dots marked the positions of alien ships scattered throughout the outer regions of their star system. Ma'am, we're tracking at least 30 alien vessels. They're staying just outside the orbit of Pluto, but they're definitely watching us. Lisa studied the display with growing concern. 30 ships. What do we know about their capabilities? Not much, Ben admitted. Our best telescopes can barely make out their basic shapes, but the energy signatures we're detecting suggest they have power sources far beyond anything we've developed. Dr. Helen Rodriguez, head of NASA's new Alien Contact Division, entered the room carrying a thick folder. She was a small woman with gray hair and tired eyes. She had been working around the clock since the first contact incident. Colonel Grant, she said, I've finished my analysis of the alien communication we received before they left. The translation. Software found some interesting patterns. What kind of patterns? Helen opened her folder and pulled out several printed pages covered with charts and diagrams. The aliens seem to think we're much more technologically advanced than we actually are. Their messages contained references to impossible energy sources and ancient technology. They appear to believe we're hiding our true capabilities. Lisa almost laughed. Hiding our capabilities? Helen, we can barely get a rocket to Mars without losing half our equipment. What could they possibly think we're hiding? I don't know, Helen replied. But whatever they think we have, it's got them scared enough to gather a fleet outside our solar system. At that moment, Admiral Frank Torres entered the war room. He was a tall man with silver hair and the bearing of someone who had spent his life in the military. As head of the newly created Space Defense Initiative, He had been given the impossible task of protecting Earth from threats that were centuries ahead of human technology. Colonel Grant, Dr. Rodriguez, he said with a nod, "I've just come from a meeting with the Joint Chiefs. The President has made a decision about how to handle this situation." Lisa felt her stomach drop. "What kind of decision, sir?" "We're going to show strength. If these aliens think we're powerful, maybe we should act like it. I'm ordering the Roosevelt to launch within the week." Helen looked confused. "The Roosevelt? I thought that ship was still experimental." Admiral Torres smiled grimly. "It is, but it's also the most advanced vessel humanity has ever built. If we're going to face an alien fleet, we might as well do it with our best ship." Lisa knew about the Roosevelt project. It was humanity's first attempt at building a true deep space battleship. The ship used experimental engines, advanced materials, and weapon systems that pushed the limits of human engineering. It was also completely untested in real combat conditions. "Sir," she said carefully, "are we sure that's wise? We don't know what these aliens are capable of. Sending one ship against 30 seems like suicide." "Maybe," Torres replied. "But if we show them we're not afraid, maybe they'll respect us enough to talk instead of fight." While the humans prepared for a confrontation they didn't understand, the alien fleet continued to grow. More ships arrived daily, bringing representatives from species across the galaxy. What had started as a simple first contact mission had become the largest military gathering in recent galactic history. On the flagship of the alien fleet, Admiral Zyktos met with his senior officers to plan their next move. The Drakmori were natural warriors, and Zyktos had fought in dozens of conflicts across the galaxy. But this situation was unlike anything he had faced before. "Captain Vexter's report troubles me," he said to his staff. "If the humans truly have ancient technology, conventional weapons may be useless against them." His tactical officer, a younger Drakmori named Grakto, studied the holographic displays showing Earth and its surrounding space. "Admiral, our intelligence suggests the humans have only one major population center on their planet. Perhaps a surgical strike." "No," Zeke interrupted. "If they have ancient weapons, attacking their homeworld could trigger a response that destroys us all." The Ancients' technology was rumored to be capable of turning entire star systems into energy. Back on the Golden Wind, Science Officer continued analyzing the data from her encounter with the human ship. The more she studied the readings, the more convinced she became that humanity possessed technology beyond current galactic understanding. The whole materials contained isotopes that required manipulation of matter at the quantum level. The energy reading suggested controlled manipulation of space-time itself. Most disturbing of all, the quantum signatures matched fragments of ancient artifacts that had been discovered on dead worlds throughout the galaxy. "Captain," she reported to Vextar, "I've compared our readings with the ancient artifact database. There are too many similarities to be coincidental. Either humanity has independently developed technology identical to the ancients, or they have found a cache of ancient artifacts and learned to use them." Vexter considered this information carefully. Both possibilities were terrifying. If humans had independently reached ancient levels of technology, they were potentially more advanced than any current galactic civilization. If they had found ancient artifacts, they were playing with forces that had destroyed their original creators. "What do you recommend?" she asked. Captain Alex Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the UCS Roosevelt as the massive ship moved through space toward the edge of the solar system. Around him, his crew of 200 worked at their stations with quiet efficiency. Alex had been chosen to command humanity's most advanced warship because of his calm leadership and quick thinking. Today, he would need both qualities more than ever. The Roosevelt was impressive by human standards. It stretched nearly a kilometer from bow to stern, with thick armor plating covering experimental weapons systems. The ship's quantum drives hummed with barely contained energy, pushing the vessel faster than any human-built craft had ever traveled. But Alex knew that compared to what waited for them in space, the Roosevelt might as well be made of cardboard. "Captain," called Lieutenant Commander Maria Santos from the tactical station, "long-range sensors are picking up the alien fleet." "Sir, there are a lot more ships than we expected." Alex moved to look over her shoulder at the sensor display. What he saw made his blood run cold. The screen showed not 30 ships as intelligence had reported, but over 60 vessels arranged in a complex formation around the outer edge of the solar system. Some of the ships were larger than anything humans had ever imagined. Building how many exactly? Maria, 63 confirmed contacts, sir. Multiple size classes. The largest ones are showing mass readings equivalent to small cities. Commander Rick Johnson, the ship's communications officer, looked up from his station. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the alien fleet. It's directed specifically at us. Put it through. Alex ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing the face of Admiral Zekthos. The four-armed Drakmori warrior looked fierce even through the translation system. His red eyes glowed with barely controlled anger. As he spoke, "Human vessel, this is Admiral Zekthos of the Galactic Defense Coalition. You are trespassing in restricted space. Surrender immediately and submit to inspection, or face the consequences." Alex felt confused. Restricted space? This was still inside Earth's solar system. He activated the communication system to respond. "This is Captain Alex Rodriguez of the United Earth vessel Roosevelt. Admiral, you are the ones in restricted space. This is Earth's solar system, and you have no authority here. State your intentions or withdraw immediately." The alien's expression grew even more threatening. "Do not test our patience, human. We know what you are capable of. We have seen your weapons. Surrender your ancient technology, or we will be forced to take action." Rick looked puzzled as he checked the translation systems. "Captain, they keep mentioning ancient technology. I'm not sure what they're referring to." Alex was equally confused. Ancient technology. The Roosevelt used cutting-edge human engineering, but it was hardly ancient. Most of the ship's systems had been developed within the past 5 years. Admiral Alex replied, "I think there's been some kind of misunderstanding. We don't have any ancient technology. The Roosevelt is a new ship built with standard human materials and systems. On the alien flagship, Admiral Zekthos turned to his science officer with frustration. They continued to deny the obvious. "What are your readings showing?" The science officer, a tall insectoid creature from the hive mind species, clicked rapidly as it consulted its instruments. "Admiral, the human vessel is generating energy signatures that exceed our theoretical maximums. The whole composition contains materials that should not exist in nature. Either they have mastered matter manipulation beyond our understanding, or they are using technology from the ancients." Meanwhile, on the Roosevelt, Dr. Susan Park was having her own problems with sensor readings. As the ship's chief science officer, she was responsible for analyzing the alien fleet's capabilities. What she found was deeply disturbing. "Captain," she called from her station, "I'm reading energy signatures from the alien fleet that are off the charts. Some of those ships are generating more power than our entire electrical grid back on Earth." Alex moved to examine her readings. The numbers were staggering. The alien vessels seemed to be powered by sources that made human nuclear reactors look like flashlight batteries. Their weapons showed energy outputs that could probably vaporize the Roosevelt in seconds. "Dr. Park, are you sure these readings are accurate?" "I've run diagnostics 3 times, sir. The numbers are correct, Captain. If those are weapons readings, we're completely outmatched." Alex considered his options. Earth's leaders had sent him here to show strength, but it was becoming clear that humanity was facing forces far beyond their ability to fight. Yet something about the situation didn't make sense. If the aliens were so powerful, why were they demanding surrender instead of simply attacking? On the alien side, Captain Vexstar was asking herself similar questions. She stood on the bridge of the Golden Wind, watching the human ship through the viewing screen. The Roosevelt looked crude and primitive compared to Galactic standard design, but her sensors told a different story. "Science Officer Corthani," she said, "run another deep scan of the human vessel. I want to understand exactly what we're dealing with." Corthani's crystalline fingers danced over her controls as she focused the ship's most advanced sensors on the Roosevelt. What she found made her question everything she thought she knew about technology. "Captain, the quantum signatures are unlike anything in our databases. The hull contains isotopes that would require manipulation of atomic structure at the subatomic level. The energy core appears to be some form of controlled singularity, but the containment methods are completely unknown to us. A controlled singularity? Vexstar asked in disbelief. That's purely theoretical. Even our most advanced civilizations have never achieved stable singularity containment. I know, Captain, but the readings don't lie. Either the humans have developed technology thousands of years ahead of the galactic standard, or they found a way to use ancient artifacts as the foundation for their engineering. Back on the Roosevelt, the tension on the bridge was increasing by the minute. The alien fleet had moved into what was clearly an attack formation, with the largest ships positioned to deliver devastating firepower. Alex knew he had to make a decision soon. Captain, Maria reported from Tactical, the aliens are charging weapons systems. Energy readings are spiking across their entire fleet. Sir, Rick added from communications, I'm receiving another transmission from Admiral Z. He's given us one final warning to surrender. Alex activated the communication system again. This time, he decided to try a different approach. Admiral Ziktos, I believe we have a serious misunderstanding here. You seem to think we possess some kind of advanced ancient technology. We don't. Our ship uses human engineering and materials we developed ourselves. Perhaps if we could explain our technology to your scientists, we could clear up this confusion. The alien admiral's response was immediate and angry. Enough deception? Human, we have analyzed your vessel. You use materials that exist nowhere else in the galaxy. Your power source defies the laws of physics as we understand them. We will not be fooled by your claims of primitive technology. Dr. Park looked up from her station with a sudden realization. Captain, what if they're right about our materials being unusual? What do you mean, Susan? Well, sir, remember where we got the whole materials for the Roosevelt? Those metal deposits we found on Europa. We never did figure out exactly what they were or how they got there. Alex felt a chill run down his spine. The Europa deposits had been discovered 5 years ago during a routine mining operation. The metals had unusual properties that made them perfect for spacecraft construction, but their origin had remained a mystery. Human scientists had assumed they were the result of some unknown natural process. And the quantum drives, Alex asked, experimental technology based on theoretical physics that we barely understand ourselves, Dr. Park admitted. We know they work, but we're not entirely sure why. The implications of this realization were staggering. What if humanity had unknowingly been using technology beyond their understanding? What if the materials they found on Europa really were remnants of some ancient civilization? On the alien flagship, Admiral Ziktos was running out of patience. His orders from the Galactic Council were clear: prevent the humans from using ancient technology to threaten galactic peace. If they would not surrender voluntarily, he was authorized to use force. All ships, he broadcast to his fleet, prepare for coordinated attack. Target the human vessel's power systems. We must disable them before they can bring their weapons to bear. But before he could give the final attack order, Science Officer Korthani made a discovery that changed everything. Admiral, wait! I'm detecting something unusual in the human ship's energy patterns. The quantum fluctuations, ... They're not stable. Sir, I think their technology might be on the verge of catastrophic failure. What kind of failure? The kind that could create a chain reaction involving their singularity core? Admiral, if that ship explodes, it could take half the solar system with it. Ziktos stared at the human vessel with new understanding. Perhaps the humans weren't threatening them with ancient weapons. Perhaps they were threatening them with ancient weapons that were about to explode. Captain Alex Rodriguez made the hardest decision of his life. With his ship's quantum core threatening to explode and 60 alien warships ready to attack, he chose to do something that went against all military training. He told the complete truth. Admiral Ziktos, he said over the open communication channel, I'm going to share something with you that might sound crazy. Our ship is about to explode. We have maybe an hour before our experimental drive system destroys itself and takes both our fleets with it. The bridge of the Roosevelt fell silent. Everyone stared at their captain, wondering if he had lost his mind. You didn't tell the enemy your weaknesses during a standoff. On the alien flagship, Admiral Zektos looked confused. Human captain, if this is some kind of trick, ... It's not a trick, Alex interrupted. Dr. Park, transmit our quantum readings to the alien fleet. Let their scientists see what we're dealing with. Dr. Susan Park hesitated for a moment, then activated the transmission. Raw data from the Roosevelt's unstable quantum core streamed toward the alien ships. Across the alien fleet, science officers stared at their screens in disbelief. The readings showed energy patterns that were spiraling out of control. The human ship wasn't preparing to attack them. It was preparing to accidentally destroy everything within several million kilometers. On the Golden Wind, Science Officer Corthani studied the data with growing alarm. Captain Vextar, these readings are genuine. The human vessel is experiencing cascade quantum failure. If their containment field collapses, the energy release will be equivalent to a small star going supernova. Captain Vextar felt her crystal skin grow cold. How is that possible? How could they build something so dangerous without understanding the risks? Meanwhile, on Earth, the crisis was creating chaos in government buildings around the world. President Karen Williams sat in the Situation Room deep beneath the White House, watching satellite feeds that showed the alien fleet surrounding the Roosevelt. Can someone please explain to me, she said to the room full of military advisors and scientists, how we managed to send our most advanced ship into space with a bomb for an engine? Dr. Helen Rodriguez, who had been studying the technical reports from the Roosevelt, looked exhausted. Madam President, the quantum drive technology was experimental. We knew there were risks, but the computer models suggested they were manageable. Manageable? President Williams asked. Helen, they're saying the explosion could be seen from neighboring star systems. Admiral Frank Torres, who had ordered the Roosevelt's mission, looked like he had aged 10 years in the past hour. Madam President, we had no choice. The alien fleet was growing larger every day. We had to show strength. Well, we're certainly showing them something. The president replied grimly. Back in space, something unexpected was happening. Instead of attacking the crippled human ship, the alien fleet began to change formation. Ships that had been positioned for assault moved into what looked like rescue positions. Lieutenant Commander Maria Santos looked up from her tactical station with surprise. Captain, the alien ships are moving, but they're not attacking. They're surrounding us in a protective formation. Alex couldn't believe what he was hearing. Protective formation? Commander Rick Johnson confirmed the report from his communication station. Sir, I'm receiving multiple transmissions from different alien ships. They're offering technical assistance. On the alien flagship, Admiral Zektos was having an emergency conference with his senior officers and the other fleet commanders. The massive holographic display showed representatives from dozens of different species, all talking at once in their various languages. The quantum cascade readings are beyond anything we've seen, reported Dr. Yolandra from her ship. If the human vessel explodes, the energy release could damage subspace in this entire region. A representative from the Ethereal Collective added their thoughts through crackling energy patterns. The humans appear to have accidentally created a weapon more dangerous than anything the ancients ever built, but they seem unaware of its true potential. That's exactly the problem, Admiral Zektos replied. They're playing with forces they don't understand. We have to help them, or we all die. Captain Vextar spoke up from her position on the Golden Wind. Admiral, I volunteered to board the human vessel. My science officer Corthany has experience with quantum containment systems. Perhaps we can work together to prevent the cascade failure. Alex received the transmission requesting permission to send an alien boarding party to help with the crisis. Everything in his military training told him this was a trap, but Dr. Park's latest readings showed they had less than 40 minutes before total containment failure. Dr. Park, he asked, can we fix this ourselves? Honestly, sir, I don't think so. We're dealing with quantum physics that we barely understand. If the aliens have more advanced science, they might be our only hope. Alex made another difficult decision. Admiral Zektos permission granted for your technical team to come aboard, but I want only a small group, and they come unarmed. 20 minutes later, Captain Vextar and Science Officer Corthany materialized on the Roosevelt's bridge in a flash of blue light. The teleportation technology left Alex amazed, but he tried not to show it. Vexstar was taller than Alex had expected, with skin that looked like living crystal and large, intelligent eyes. She moved with the grace of someone used to different gravity. Courtney was smaller, with similar crystal features but more mechanical implants visible along her arms and head. Captain Rodriguez, Vexter said through her translation device. We appreciate you allowing us to help. Courtney is one of the galaxy's leading experts on quantum containment. Dr. Park led the alien scientists to the engineering section where the quantum drives were located. As they walked through the ship's corridors, Courtney's eyes widened. As she examined the walls and equipment, Captain Vexstar, she said quietly in their own language, this is incredible. The humans are using raw, ancient materials as structural components. No wonder their technology readings are so unusual. When they reached the quantum drive chamber, Courtney immediately began scanning the massive cylindrical device that hummed with barely contained energy. Her instruments beeped and chirped as they analyzed the human technology. Dr. Park, she said through her translator, may I ask where you obtained the materials for this containment vessel? We found metal deposits on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, Dr. Park replied. They had unusual properties that made them perfect for our needs. Courtney and Vexstar exchanged glances. Dr. Park, those materials are not natural. They are refined, ancient artifacts. Your species has been unknowingly using technology that was created millions of years ago. Dr. Park felt dizzy. That's impossible. We analyzed those materials thoroughly. You analyzed their current properties, Courtney explained, but you did not recognize their origin. The ancients left artifacts throughout the galaxy when they disappeared. Most species have found small pieces over the years, but you appear to have found a major cache. As Courtney worked on stabilizing the quantum drives, she explained what had really happened. The ancient materials in your ship's hull are resonating with the quantum fields in ways that amplify your energy output. Your drives are not just human engineering, they are human engineering enhanced by ancient technology that you don't understand. This revelation explained everything. The impossible energy readings, the unusual material signatures, the quantum effects that seemed to break known physics. Humanity had accidentally built their most advanced ship using components left behind by a civilization that had mastered technology beyond current galactic understanding. So we really do have ancient technology, Alex said with amazement. Yes and no, Vexstar replied. You have ancient materials, but you've used them in completely new ways. The ancients never built anything like your quantum drives. You've created something that is both primitive and incredibly advanced at the same time. Working together, the human and alien scientists managed to stabilize the quantum cascade with only minutes to spare. The process required combining human, intuitive engineering with alien theoretical knowledge. Neither group could have solved the problem alone. As the crisis passed, both sides began to understand how wrong they had been about each other. The humans weren't hiding advanced technology. They were accidentally using materials they didn't understand. The aliens weren't planning to invade Earth. They were trying to protect the galaxy from what they thought was a dangerous new threat. Captain Rodriguez, Admiral Zitos, said over the communication channel, it appears we have all made some serious mistakes in our assumptions. Alex smiled for the first time in hours. Admiral, I think this is the beginning of a very interesting conversation, but the biggest revelations were still to come. As news of the successful cooperation spread to both Earth and the Galactic Council, representatives from dozens of species began to realize that humanity might offer something the galaxy had been missing for millions of years, a completely new approach to using ancient technology safely. The humans had done something that no other species had managed. They had found ancient artifacts and, instead of trying to understand them completely, had simply found ways to make them work. 2 hours after the quantum cascade crisis ended, Captain Alex Rodriguez found himself in the most unusual diplomatic meeting in human history. The Roosevelt's main conference room had been modified with alien technology to accommodate representatives from 12 different species. Translation devices filled the air with a gentle humming as dozens of languages were converted into understandable speech. Captain Vexter sat across from Alex, her crystal skin reflecting the room's lights in beautiful patterns. Science Officer Courtney had connected several alien devices to the room's systems. creating holographic displays that showed technical data from both human and alien databases. Captain Rodriguez Vexstar began. I believe it is time for complete honesty between our peoples. The discoveries we have made today change everything we thought we knew about this situation. Alex nodded. I agree, but I have to admit, I'm still trying to understand how we accidentally used ancient alien technology to build our ships. Dr. Susan Park, who had been working with Courtney for the past hour, pulled up a holographic display showing the metal deposits found on Europa. Captain, it turns out those deposits weren't natural formations. They were the remains of an ancient research station that crash-landed on Europa millions of years ago. Courtney added her analysis through the translation system. The ancients were experimenting with materials that could enhance quantum field manipulation. When their station was destroyed, those materials were buried under ice for millions of years. Your mining operation uncovered them without realizing their true nature. Admiral Zektos appeared on the main screen, broadcasting from his flagship. The four-armed warrior looked embarrassed as he spoke. Captain Rodriguez, I owe you an apology. My species jumped to conclusions based on our fear of ancient technology. We assumed you were deliberately hiding advanced weapons, and we assumed you were planning to invade Earth, Alex replied with a smile. I guess we were both wrong. Dr. Helen Rodriguez, joining the conference from Earth via quantum communication, looked fascinated by the technical display. So you're saying that humans have been using ancient materials, but in completely new ways that the original creators never imagined? Exactly, Courtney confirmed. Your species took ancient materials designed for one purpose and found entirely different applications. Your quantum drives use ancient metals to contain energy fields in ways that we never thought possible. Captain Vexstar leaned forward with interest. This is remarkable. Every other species that has found ancient artifacts has tried to understand them completely before using them, but humans simply found ways to make them work for human purposes. Lieutenant Commander Maria Santos, who had been listening from her station, asked a question that was on everyone's mind. So what happens now? Do we give back the ancient materials? Are we in trouble for using them? Admiral Zektos laughed, a sound that came through the translator as a series of musical chimes. Give them back! Captain Santos, your species has made discoveries with those materials that our best scientists never imagined. We should be asking you to teach us. This statement caused a stir throughout the conference room and among the other alien ships listening. To the broadcast, Dr. Yolandra, the respected Zephyrian researcher, appeared on another screen. Admiral Zektos is correct, she said. For millions of years, we have found ancient artifacts and treated them as museum pieces or theoretical puzzles. Humans found them and turned them into working technology. This represents a completely new approach to ancient materials. Commander Rick Johnson looked up from his communications station. Captain, I'm receiving messages from alien ships throughout the fleet. They're all asking for permission to study our engineering methods. Alex felt overwhelmed by the implications. A few hours ago, both sides had been preparing for war. Now the aliens were asking humans to be their teachers. Dr. Parkey said, from a scientific standpoint, what would happen if we shared our engineering techniques with the galactic community? Dr. Park consulted her notes and the technical data that Courtney had provided. Well, sir, it seems like our approach to using ancient materials is completely different from what other species have tried. We focus on practical applications rather than theoretical understanding. Combined with their advanced knowledge of the underlying science, we could probably make some incredible breakthroughs. President Karen Williams, who had been quietly listening to the conference from Earth, finally spoke up. Captain Rodriguez, this is the president. I'm authorizing you to begin formal diplomatic negotiations. It seems we have an opportunity to join the galactic community as partners rather than subjects. Over the next 6 hours, representatives from both sides worked out the framework for what would become known as the Terra Accords. The agreement established Earth as an equal member of the galactic community, with special recognition for humanity's unique approach to ancient technology. The negotiations were not without their challenges. Some alien species were concerned about sharing advanced technology with a species that had only recently achieved spaceflight. Some humans worried about becoming dependent on alien science, but the cooperation during the quantum cascade crisis had proven that both sides had something valuable to offer. Human intuitive engineering combined with alien theoretical knowledge created possibilities that neither could achieve alone. Admiral Zethos, despite his initial hostility, became one of the strongest supporters of the partnership. The humans solved a quantum containment problem in minutes that our best scientists have been working on for decades, he announced to the Galactic Council. They did it not through superior knowledge, but through creative application of available resources. Cat Vexter added her own perspective. Humans have shown us that sometimes the best way to understand ancient technology is not to try to understand it completely, but to find ways to make it serve current needs. The signing ceremony for the Terra Accords took place on the Roosevelt, with representatives from 47 species participating through holographic projection. Alex signed a document alongside Captain Vextar, Admiral Zethos, and President Williams. Today, President Williams announced, humanity takes its place among the stars, not as conquerors or victims, but as partners in the greatest scientific endeavor in galactic history. Dr. Yalandra had the final word from the scientific community. The collaboration between human intuition and galactic knowledge represents the most promising approach to ancient technology that we have seen since the ancients themselves disappeared. Together, we may finally unlock secrets that have remained hidden for millions of years. 6 months later, construction began on the first joint human-alien research facility, located in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. The station would combine human experimental techniques with alien theoretical knowledge to study ancient artifacts safely. Lieutenant Jenny Adams, who had been promoted to communications director for the new facility, sent regular reports back to Earth about the progress being made. The breakthroughs are happening faster than anyone expected, she wrote. Human willingness to experiment combined with alien safety protocols is producing results that neither side could achieve alone. Alex, now serving as Earth's first ambassador to the Galactic Council, often reflected on how close both sides had come to disaster. The misunderstandings that had nearly led to war had instead become the foundation for the most successful scientific partnership in galactic history. During a recent visit to the research station, Courtney had shown him the latest discoveries. Ancient materials that had puzzled galactic scientists for centuries were being adapted for new purposes by human engineers who simply asked, "What if we tried this?" instead of "How does this work?" Captain Rodriguez, Courtney had said, "Your species has taught us something important. Sometimes the best way to honor the ancients is not to worship their technology, but to use it to build something even better." Alex smiled as he remembered Admiral Zethos' S-words during the original confrontation. How did your species survive using such dangerous technology for so long? The answer, he now knew, was simple. Humans survived by being willing to try things that seemed impossible, make mistakes, learn from those mistakes, and try again. It was not the most elegant approach to technology, but it was uniquely human. And in a galaxy full of species that had spent millions of years being careful with ancient artifacts, sometimes what was needed was a species crazy enough to use them as building materials and see what happened. The galaxy had expected to find either victims or victors when they encountered humanity. Instead, they had found partners who could help them reach for the stars in ways they had never imagined possible.